Hey, what's up guys? Justin here with the 4 Lazy Jays, and I've got another product review today. I just recently finished up a 7-day Colorado backpacking elk hunt. I did spend a fair amount of time in my Kuiu Ultra Star one-person tent. It's kind of labeled as an ultralight tent. I've had this tent since last October. May have spent a total of 20 nights in it since then. I've heard pros and cons on this tent, so now that I've got a fair amount of nights in it and different seasons, I felt I should share. So first off, one-person tent, single wall. They advertise it as, I think it was under 19 ounces, and I believe that was just the fabric. I added the carbon fiber tent pole with the bag of stakes as well. My total trail weight in the bag was 29 ounces. Still not too bad. Price on this tent when I bought it was $249. I think there are better options out there, but for the price in the ultralight world, if you've looked at any of that stuff, you'll know everything's very, very expensive. The single wall tent was where I had problems at this time. Up here in Colorado, it was a lot of moisture, and it rained on us a lot, and I woke up every night or about every hour soaked. My bag was soaked, all the gear inside was soaked. I'm 6'1" and I fill up from one end to the other, so my feet were wet, my head was wet. So that's the cons. It's kind of a big one, really. But I think that's just the downfall of a single wall tent. I had all the vents open that I could, trying to get as much ventilation in there, and it still just didn't work. Now I also went on a Arizona high desert Coues whitetail hunt, and it worked perfect. My recommendations would be to think of where you're planning on hunting. It is a great little backpacking tent, but if you need room for gear and you need to stay dry, you probably should look into other options. But let's look at this tent anyways. Got a pretty good sized vestibule. One of the other guys, when we were hunting, had the Mountain Star 2-person tent, 2 vestibules. They're not that big. This one here, actually, pretty good size. So when the weather was bad, I would just kind of cook and leave my boots and things like that in here. This is the carbon fiber tent pole that they offer with it. You can also tie a rope to it, to a tree, or use a trekking pole if you choose. The one night I did not put my backpack in the vestibule. I left it underneath the tree. We had a pretty bad rainstorm, so all that gear was soaked. Now, I don't want to make it sound like all bad on this tent. There are some major downfalls. Again, I think that's just the design of a single wall tent, not necessarily this one. One thing I will say is I believe I had 3 guy lines on this, and at one point we got back to camp and it was really windy, and it held up great to the wind. I almost have to use those guy lines again because I'm such a large frame. It keeps the tent away from me. Now, if someone were, say, smaller than 6 foot, would probably be okay. When I first got this, I set this up in the yard and laid in it, and my son Jack laid in it with me, and I thought, wow, this is going to be great. This is going to be a lot of extra room. But now using it, there really isn't a whole lot of room, maybe for a change of clothes inside. And as far as pack size goes, here is the Ultra Star 1-person tent packed up next to the Mountain Star 2-person tent. This one's substantially heavier when you hold it. There's quite a bit more room in this one. Plus it is a double wall, making it a lot more stable in wet conditions. Not a perfect tent by any means, but it does suit the needs. So